medication for ADHD?
Yeah.
It's a drug.
It's a drug used to help you concentrate on things. If you have ADHD, I think.
An enhancement, something that would give you the motivation to do something that you either have to do or either want to do.
Me and my friends, we love that shit. You know, it's a wonder drug. You know, we've abused it so much.
I would say it's relatively safe since it's produced in a pharmaceutical environment.
Can actually cause sudden death.
When I was younger, around second grade, I almost flunked it. And I don't remember this because I was actually really traumatized by it, but my parents said that what had happened was when I got my report card back from my teacher, I ran into the table and was just crying. And then that's when they started to realize that there might be something wrong with me. There was a point in school where all the kids, we were learning math and stuff, and we were starting to learn division, but I didn't even know what multiplication was yet because I just spaced out in class so much. So that's when we started to realize that there is something, and I wanted to get better. So my parents took me to get tested and took me to a physician. The process probably took about a year and a half, but after it was finalized that I had pretty severe ADHD, they pulled me out and put me into a private Catholic school. And people with ADHD, when they're really passionate about something, will just have tunnel vision and will just hyper focus on it. And that's where the hyper comes from, is that people think that hyper comes from like being all over the place and bouncing off the walls, which I do, like I kind of am like that, but it also means like hyper focusing and only doing one thing at a time. What a lot of people don't realize is that people with ADHD, we're not like dumb and we're not weird and we're just different, and the way that our thought process is. Like, I know that for a regular person, it takes them 3 times to remember something, like when it comes to studying. For me, it takes 7 times.
Adderall is a medication that's used to treat ADHD. It's what we call mixed salts amphetamine, so it's a combination of 2 different releases of amphetamines. In 2005, Health Canada had suspended the sale of Adderall. And in 2006, they put a black box warning, and this had to do with the cardiac risk.
Whatever drugs are in those pills, they allow you to focus. And I'm not a doctor, right? I can't explain the science behind them. I can only explain, the effects that I felt.
It's kind of the difference between going from colorblind to being able to see colors. It's a huge difference. When I'm on it, I'm just so much more dedicated onto one thing, whereas usually my mind wanders to different things. I can only focus for maybe 10 minutes at a time. It was somewhere just after starting when I realized, probably the process between switching from high school to university made me realize that, wow, I have such a short attention span. Of course, I got it in university from another person who was in the program with me. The first time was it was really great because I hadn't dedicated so much of my focus and mental capacity into one thing before, and it really helped me sort of elicit that experience. Nobody really knows about it. If I were to tell them about it, I feel like they would be fairly shocked because I'm generally not the sort of person who gets into any kind of drugs or anything of that nature.
I've only taken Adderall once, and that was the last time I took it. It definitely wasn't what I expected it to be. I had a major assignment due in the next couple days. I heard that Adderall helped focus and concentration and kind of almost made you smarter. I had a friend who has ADHD, and he offered me one of his pills, and I thought, why not?
If I sit down to do anything, I'll finish it. I'll do it to a good quality. I'll be motivated to do it. I'll just have everything in order. First heard of it probably grade 9, and it wasn't until grade 10 that I actually tried it. My first experience with Adderall would be with one of my good friends, and we met up with someone, and we were really excited to try it, so we ended up doing some outside and finishing the walk home. And it's probably about a 25-minute walk home, but already you could feel the effects. Everything was intriguing. Everything was just presenting itself differently.
It prevents me from eating. and it prevents me from sleeping. So if I ever take more than my regular dosage, or if I take less and then I end up taking my regular dosage the next day, I probably wouldn't be able to sleep until 2 o'clock-ish or even 3, but it's a restless sleep. And it also affects my mood. I become really quiet. My friends notice that, that I become less social and I have less patience. I sometimes do feel dizzy. Yesterday I actually experienced that, where I felt a little bit dizzy when it kicks in. And it starts to kick in probably about an hour after, but it kicks in really hard after 3 hours. It's kind of like a climb. And then all of a sudden after the climb it starts to plateau, and then there's a drop. And when the drop happens, I know because I start getting really hungry and I don't want to work. And that's around, I would say, like 7 o'clock.
So Adderall can have lots of different side effects. If it's taken regularly, it can decrease the appetite. For people who have other conditions, so for example, pre-existing tics, it could make them worse. And it can actually precipitate tics in people who would be susceptible to them anyways. Those would be the more common visual things that you would notice. And then also, as I mentioned before, it can be toxic to the heart. So people who have pre-existing heart conditions could have negative side effects.
It must have been about 3 years ago with some of my close friends. We've been hearing about it quite a bit. And so we found someone who was prescribed Adderall, and we made the transaction and purchased a few pills. We decided to snort the Adderall, thinking that would be the best delivery method. It does something else for me, you know. When I want to get something done, you know, I'll do Adderall. I tried it without research. I tried it with no research, and you know, that's risky, but you know, we youth are reckless.
Before I ever took it, I was pretty I was pretty thorough about investigating what the side effects could be of it. Like, I saw the negative effects and I thought that the positives outweighed the negatives.
The first time I've ever read about it was last year. I got my prescription in the mail from my mom, and then it came with this like really thick packet of like warnings. It was like, before you should take it, you should read it. And I was like, oh, it's been like, you know, 9 years. Like, I should read it now. And when I read it, I was like, oh, everything makes sense and why I do the things I do.
I could still say I'm a bit ignorant, simply because like I don't really factor in how bad I'm affecting my body when I take it.
I feel people aren't being able to defer what they want and what they need while they're on it, and why they're taking it and how it's benefiting them. I feel like they miss out on a lot of that, and that's all important stuff, because if you're going to be taking something like that, you want to be taking it for a right reason. Not saying there is a right reason to take drugs or anything like that, but you know, it's more of a want than a need.
I never sold Adderall, but I've been tempted to in university. I never sold it in high school, even though people asked. So I would just kind of keep it on the down low that I took it. To the people who don't really know me that well, I feel like some of them just start talking to me and start talking to me, doing me favors and stuff just to get the Adderall and to get on my good side, and hoping that I will make an exception. And it kind of sucks, because it's just like, oh, I wish that they were actually want to be my friend. Yeah, don't ask me to sell you Adderall. That's all I have to say. Please don't ask me to sell you Adderall, because I hate saying no to people. And I'm always like, oh, I'll think about it. But in the back of my mind, I'm always like, please just forget about it. I just want to say no.
Yeah, I've made a decent bit of money off of selling it. Before I even came to university, I knew that people were willing to take Adderall to help them study. So when I knew that I could get pills from someone and sell them, I jumped on it right away. The customer base is actually pretty big. It ranges from students who want to stay up all night studying to students who want to be able to party all night and not fall asleep. So really anyone would buy Adderall from me.
I had a friend who asked me for Adderall one time when he was going to a rave, because I know that there are some people that take it and it makes them hyper.
You know, anything from, you know, reading articles online so I pick up more information, you know, taking photographs, you know, I find better perspectives, angles.
Sometimes workload is so heavy you might think it's impossible to finish. If you need to read 200 pages out of your textbook in 2 days, then yeah, you know, that's helpful.
I use Adderall sort of as a dependence. It's sort of a fallback, like a cushion that you can fall back on. So it's like, oh, I didn't study for that test. Oh, no worries, I'll just wait till the day before and I'll just take Adderall and do it, rather than studying 3 days before like I probably should. Today's attention span is somewhat shorter, so students feel the need to take such a drug to help them focus at their work.
There are two dosages that I sell. There's a higher dosage, which goes for about $15 a pill, and a lower dosage that goes for about $10 a pill. I get buyers who want bulk and they'll clean up my supply, and other times I will just have buyers that want 1 or 2 pills here and there, so I have a steady stream.
I paid $7 per pill. Given the effects of it and its usefulness, I would say that that's probably a worthy amount to spend on it.
If you were getting a month of a low dose, it would cost you around $100. And if you were taking close to a maximum dose, it could cost you up to $300 a month. And that's without any private coverage. So a lot of people do come in, and actually just with the whole class of medications, people will come in and ask questions about them, wondering, well, first of all, some people don't realize that you need a prescription, but other people will just have questions on how to get it, or people will come in and ask if they can just buy some of something, or even say, oh, I have a prescription somewhere else.
I think that they kind of take it on too lightly, because it's a medical condition, right, that I have, and people take it for recreational uses and to help them in school when I actually can't control it. I physically do not have that control, because there's these nerves in my brain that I'm actually missing that kind of trigger that self-control, and I don't have that. So whenever people ask me that, or when people say, oh, I think I have it too, and I'm just like, it's more than that.
I understand the fact that people who need it, like people who have ADHD or ADD, have a hard time focusing, so they really need it. But then again, anybody can sort of claim that they have that. To be honest with you, I sort of don't even consider it as a drug, because it's something that isn't that heavily thought of as a drug. I mean, when you look at something as marijuana or cocaine, for a comparison, those are like, oh, they're drugs, those are bad for you.
I have slowed down quite a bit. I don't use it frequently anymore, but I still appreciate what it does for you, and how it can help you just look at things differently. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people think it's that way because it does trigger something to motivate you more, but it's not necessarily triggering smarter thoughts or a better way of doing something. It's just you're getting to it faster. And I felt like I was getting, not dependent, you can't use that word, but I was getting more motivated to do it rather than just go to work and get it over with.
Once you take it, you feel like you're intelligent. Like, even if you were intelligent beforehand, if for some reason it makes you feel like you're more intelligent, so that way when you're not on Adderall and not able to kind of conjure up that information, you don't feel as intelligent, you feel a little bit worse about yourself. I'd say the only reason I'm not dependent is because I don't take it too often. I've only had it a few times, and I know that I need to limit myself. It's sort of like trying to quit smoking. Nobody actually really ever quits solidly. You do have one every once in a while, and that's just how it is always going to be. I mean, I will probably stop once I'm out of university, but it might happen again. I can't say for sure.
It affects my heart and my kidneys. I have to go into checkups, and they have to like hook me up to like different stuff and see if my heart rate's okay. In high school, and even now actually, there was a time where I had like this huge identity crisis because I thought that taking Adderall made me different, which it does. When I'm off of it, I'm in a really good mood. I feel like I'm more myself, and I feel like I don't have to conform to what society is telling me how I should be and how I should act. And it's unfortunate that the only way I can function is by taking Adderall. And when I don't take it, people kind of think I'm like really crazy. They think I'm really weird. Think I'm like really random because I just think of like, I have like 5 different things going on in my head, so I just like start impulsively saying things. I don't know which one now is the real me, whether or not it's what society wants me to be and for me to take these pills, or if it's for me to like not be on it. The end goal is to see if I'm also able to function without it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, to be honest, which kind of sucks.
One time I used it, and you're supposed to drink a lot of water with it, and I didn't. And I got really dehydrated. I was drinking coffee instead of keeping me up, but I got really dehydrated, and I was like like about to faint. I was really tired and really like malnourished. That was really scary. I don't want to be dependent on it. It's definitely it's recommended that it's not prescribed to people with addictive personalities. So I would say I could potentially get addicted to it. I don't want to be vulnerable to that.
I personally experienced a lot of anxiety when I was on it. I also had a really fast heartbeat. In fact, I was having like heart palpitations, and I ended up staying up all night. I was completely wired and stressed. It definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I think I took way too high of a dosage. I definitely would consider it to be a drug that could be abused. I really think that it's something that you should stay away from if you're not prescribed. These drugs are meant for people that, you know, have problems with their brain, with focusing and stuff like that. And so if you don't have those problems, then I don't think it's good to be taking it.
I've been addicted to some other really hard drugs, and you know, that's hard, but Adderall, I was never dependent on Adderall. I could use it, you know, quite frequently, and then take a tolerance break. And you know, now these days I see it as more of a delicacy, you know, a treat, almost like a caviar compared to, you know, marijuana, which would be like a burger and a fries. Ultimately, I think it was a good decision. It opened a lot of doors for me. It allowed me to think differently, and you know, it let me become more curious about what else is out there. It's kind of scary in a sense, but you know, it's exciting because you know, you don't know what to expect.
If I was doing something, taking school for something that I wanted to do and pursue in my future, I want to tackle that with my sober mind. And if I'm going to be doing it for a long time and in the future, I don't want to constantly be having to take this thing.
There are some people that I would say became dependent on it from me selling it to them. I do attend university, and no, I would never take it myself. I don't like to take drugs myself, actually. The way I see it, it is kind of a cop-out. It's more so forcing yourself to study than actually doing the work yourself. I myself believe that Adderall is just as dangerous as taking any other drug. That'll probably hurt my sales. But yeah, it is a drug, it is dangerous, and it needs to be taken with caution.